fact, I would probably use single frequency and turn it up to 45 kilohertz, the highest frequency that'll go. And it won't find powder. What it takes is, it's been my experience, about half a penny weight. I've got a nugget that I put on the end of a stick, for testing. And about a half a penny weight nugget, it'll pick up about that deep. If you go to a quarter penny weight, you have to be right against the coil to find it. So in perspective, a penny weight is 1/20th of an ounce. So, you're looking at pretty small little nuggets that they'll find. But I hope that answers your question.
But you got to get right down on it.
Yeah, nuggets. If you get a big old nugget, I got a 6-ounce nugget that it'll pick up that far away. It just depends on the size of the nugget. It won't pick up powder. It won't pick up black sand, but it'll pick up, pretty small piece of gold. Like if you went to Llano River, the gold's not that big. You're not going to find them with a metal detector in Llano River.
And does it help when you're working with trying to find gold nuggets to use a smaller coil rather than a larger?
Yeah, you want to use if you're in Australia, you want to use a coil this big, okay, because they got big nuggets. If you're in an area that has small nuggets, you want to go to a smaller coil. You have to judge your coil size by the size of the target you're looking for. You'll notice on my dive machine, on those machines there, we got 11-inch coil. On my dive machine, I put the small coil on here. And the reason you want to use a small coil is, like I mentioned earlier, most of your rings and jewelry that fall off in the rivers, the Guadalupe River, Comal, and all that stuff, there's a rock formation. They'll fall in cracks and crevices, and you might have to get your pinpointer, and, fan the sand on the bottom, and you'll see the ring, and you'll just pick it up. But the reason you want to water hunt is you find more jewelry water hunting. I'll just be honest with you. I had a buddy of mine, we hunted for from September all the way through December. We hunted after tubing season, and we focused on the Comal and the Guadalupe River, and we hit all the rapids. The water was lower there. And at the end of the season, me and him combined had a 5-gallon bucket, and we had that deep full of 14K, 18K, 10K jewelry. A lot of it's class rings, wedding rings, but we had a bucket that full of jewelry we'd found. And coins, we could have filled 2 5-gallon buckets full of coins after a whole hunting, because people just, they tumble over in their tubes, or fingers, water's cold, so their fingers slip off, the jewelry falls off. You go watch it. I stand there on the beach and watch these pretty girls with all the jewelry hanging off and wedding rings on and everything, getting in the tube, having a good old time, thinking, okay, I'm gonna follow her and see where she loses that diamond ring, because that's what happens. It's all the time. So.
In the water, do you have to do I can't think of it now, senior moment, when you take your metal detector and your
Ground balance?
Yeah, that ground balance.
Underwater is typically the same balance as you have on the surface. So you don't have to ground balance underwater. So I don't ever ground balance mine underwater. Mine has a noise cancel. I use that every time I use it underwater, but ground balance, I don't do it.
Are most pointers waterproof?
Garrett's waterproof. The one that they're sending me now to test is a Quest, and it's waterproof. And the Quest is supposed to have a distance that'll pick up that far. I don't know. I haven't got it yet in my hands. It's being sent from Australia, so who knows when it'll get here. What's that? The XPs that I showed you, that red one, is waterproof. That's a MI6, and I think you have the MI4, right? So.
Yes, or just the 6 meters?
No, they're good up to 33, 1 atmosphere. So, typical most divers. I carry fins to swim around, and see what I do. These are my fins I use. They're all beat up. I've had them for years. So, these are the ones I use. But typically, for most people, if you're not an experienced diver, you want a smaller fin than that. I've been diving 40 years. I'm a certified instructor, so I know diving. And one of the issues with diving is tanks. You can't get tanks and take them on an airplane. You can't you have to go get them refilled. Depending on the size of the tank, you have a limited dive time. You also have to be concerned with compressed gases. There's a lot of stuff with tanks. The advantage of tanks is you can go deeper. Okay, that limitation is the deepness of them. So what I've switched over to is they make two models. This one here is the Blue 3 Nemo that I'm going to demonstrate. This is the one I use because most of the treasure diving I do in rivers, stuff like that, is less than 10 foot deep. Most of the rivers, the deepest swimming hole I found is probably 5 or 6 foot deep. So, so this is the one I use. They have the Nomad, which goes 1 atmosphere. You can go 35 feet with it. So, and 33 feet's an atmosphere, so it's a little deeper. But you can actually get an extension for it and go down 66 feet with a bigger battery. But it's a heavier unit, and I like this one. This one's 10 pounds. You can pick it up.
What is it?
This is a Blue 3 Nemo, and I'm going to demonstrate.
Is it like a machine, a compressor?
Yeah, I'm going to show you how it works. That was the main topic of this whole thing. We went through the metal detectors, what I use, and all that. Here's stuff I use. I got my gloves. I like these here because if you have to reach down, pull a glove off to pick up a ring because you can't pick it up with gloves on. If you pull your glove off and lay it down in murky water, I like these bright orange ones because I can see them. So that's the gloves I use. You can get cold, you can use regular gloves, these just regular gloves. You'll need a snorkel. I like this, you can see this is my old beat up snorkel. I like one of these snorkels. It's got keeps the water out some. That's the one I use. On my wetsuits are expensive. One thing I do to protect the knees, because you are on the bottom, when I gold dredge or if I metal detect, I put these on to protect my wetsuit because wetsuits are expensive. And you're down on the bottom scrubbing the gravel. These little things here, found these 14-inch tire things. They're like this, and they actually fit my thigh perfectly. So you'll have to find out which inner tube fits your thigh. Some people have bigger thighs than me. But you pull this up over your wetsuit, and this just sits there and covers your wetsuit from here to here. So when you're down on the bottom, you're not tearing up your wetsuit. That's a tip that I got
You
for
have to figure out if you're an R7514.
Yeah, so I found this size works good for me. So I don't know what size it is. It's not written on there. But I got like 10 pair of these things because I go through these. It's better to go through these than it is go through wetsuits because wetsuits are expensive. Goodie bag is different than what you use on land. I attach this to my weight belt and I swim along, and this is behind me, and I pick up all the beer cans because I'm part of the conservation thing. We want to get rid of all the trash in the rivers. So even though I'm a conservative, doesn't mean that I hate water and hate air. I love water and love air, so I try to clean up when I can. So that's my bag for that. So now we're getting to the Nemo itself. Here's my dive mask. I got a dive mask with a GoPro on it. One thing you want to do with your dive mask is you want to make sure that when you put it on, that you're not getting any air leakage around there. I got a mustache. This is an Octo mask. I did a video on it on YouTube, how it works. It's a great mask. I like it. Got the GoPro mount on there, so I mount the camera up here and record my finds. So that's a pretty good mask. Okay, so to clean my mask, a lot of people buy all these fancy no fog. Your mask is going to fog when you get in cold water. You're hot, the water's cold, your mask is going to fog. The best way I found to get rid of that is I lay my mask in the river while I'm getting dressed, and it gets it to temperature, And before I get in the water, I take and spit a big old loogie in it and wipe it around the inside of the mask, and then I rinse it, and that keeps it from fogging. Well, I spit in it. So.
But baby shampoo also works, instead of spending all that money for a little bitty tube that they want to sell you at the good shop.
Yeah, I do so remote. I don't have time to run down and get. So I'd spit in it. I've been spitting in my mask for 40 years, and it's worked great. So that's the way I handle it.
Rinse it afterwards.
So I do. I spit in it, and then I rub it in real good, and then I rinse it, and then put it on my face. So this unit is the Nemo. And the Nemo is a smart compressor. Right here, has a regulator, has a little harness that you wear, and I'll show you how to put this harness on. But this goes about 10 foot deep. This thing, I measured it, it's 11 foot long, so this goes 10 foot deep underwater. Okay, so it's pretty long.